Hey guys, I just wanted to go over real quick this 2005 Ford Freestar that was having issues. So basically what I was getting was a lien code, bank 1, bank 2 lien code. I believe it's P0171 and P0174. So what I thought initially that it was a bad intake manifold. So what I wound up doing was replacing that, and nothing changed. I had an erratic idle. The idle was all over the place. The engine was misfiring, stalling. Before I did that, before I did the intake manifold gasket, I actually replaced the fuel rod pressure sensor right here with a new one. That's actually the old one that I had to put back on. The new one that I got off of eBay, I thought it was a brand new one. It was supposed to be a Ford part, but it was actually not a Ford part. It was some aftermarket Chinese half-ass part that really didn't work for a while. I mean, it worked for a little bit, and then it eventually took a shit, and then everything started to run terrible. The fuel trims were off. The O2 sensors were barely responding. I think what else was going on? There was no acceleration. I couldn't really accelerate. Always felt like it was going to die out. So I was also getting a code for the fuel rod pressure sensor here. It was for high input. So what I did was I took the old one out, and I took the new one out that I replaced, and I put the old one back in after doing numerous things to this engine. I think I did the mass airflow sensor. I blocked off the EGR port just to eliminate that. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I put a different vacuum hose on the brake booster just to make sure that wasn't a vacuum leak that was messing the values up and causing it to run lean. I think I also did I actually definitely did a fuel filter. So that wasn't it. And then like the last thing I did right here was, like I said, I just threw the old one back on, and everything went back to normal. All the fuel trims went back to normal. Engine ran smooth. And then I cleared the check engine light, and everything was good after that. So always double check your work. I guess that's the moral of the story here. You know, just double check your work. Even though I did replace that and it was a new sensor, I had to go back and double check it and make sure it was good. So, I mean, the check engine light, the code, the P0197 or something like that I had was a good indicator that this was reading high. And also another good indicator, when I hooked up ForeScan, which I'll show you in a second, I hooked that up and my fuel pressures were like through the roof. And I believe that was trying to overcompensate for what was going on, and that was causing everything to run lean. Because this sensor was bad, it actually wasn't pushing too much fuel through the system. It was just thinking that it was, based upon the sensor signal going back to the PCM. So let me hook up ForeScan and I'll show you the good values that you should see with everything on this 4.2 liter engine running smooth. All right guys, so I'm back in the car. I got ForeScan hooked up. So as you can see right now, I don't have any DTCs. And so let's go to live stream data here, and you could see here is the fuel rod pressure PSI right here. So right now at idle, I got 39.9, going back from 39.9 to 40. That is normal. That's what you want to see. That's a normal idling engine on a 2005 Ford Freestar with a 4.2 liter engine. If you see anything higher than that and your engine's running erratic, it most of the time, and if you do also have a lean code, and a high input code for your fuel route pressure sensor, most of the time you have a bad fuel route pressure sensor, and you should replace it with a Ford part. And I can't stress that enough. Replace it with a Ford part, because there's a lot of aftermarket junk floating around on eBay, Amazon, and you're just going to waste your time and have to replace it again, basically like I did. So I had an issue with my car. It was running lean. I had a lean code, and I put I thought it was a Ford part, but it turned out not to be a Ford part. So I put the new fuel route pressure sensor on, thinking that it would fix it, and it just made everything worse. And I wound up chasing my tail, basically, assuming that part was good, because it's a brand new part. I just bought it. You would think it'd be good, but it wasn't. So what I had to do was basically retrace my steps, go back, put the old one back on, and then go from there and see if all the values came back. And as you can see, the fuel trim, it's all back within spec. It's all normal now. My pressure is all normal. My fuel route pressure voltage is 2.8, which is like perfect. That's where it should be. I think before it was reading like 4, almost 5 volts, which is way too high. That's why the engine was running like shit. And then you can also see the O2 sensors, sensor 1 and sensor 2, are fluctuating like they should be. I think before they were kind of just like stuck lean. So this is what you want to see. These are the normal values you want to see. If you see that this pressure spikes up while you're running, if it's floating around like 50, 60, then most of the time you are having an issue with your fuel route pressure sensor, and you should replace it with a Ford part. So that's all I want to say. I just wanted to make that known. Hopefully it helps you guys out. I tried to find material on YouTube for this year and engine, this 4.2 liter Ford engine. I really couldn't find a lot of information. There's a lot of like 4.6 F-150s, and there are the Mercury Monterey, I think that's how you say it, the Mercury Monterey, and that does have a 4.2, but I guess there's just not many of these vehicles floating around anymore. So you got to know your ins and outs and your pressures and your voltages and what you're supposed to see and how certain sensors are supposed to act. And eventually, if you keep poking at it, you will figure it out. It does take time. And then if you figure it out and you teach yourself something, you're not so reliant on a shop, and you can do this type of thing yourself. It doesn't take much. Like I said, the Forescan I downloaded off the internet for free, so anyone can have access to Forescan. Yeah, that's basically it on this one. I just want to pass this information along. Hopefully it helps somebody